You've been telling yourself you'll give it one more month, but that was 6 months ago. And now you're wondering, am I being patient or am I just being afraid? Should you quit your job or stay and trust God? Hello everyone, I'm Ashford and welcome back to the channel. If you've ever been stuck between leaving a job and staying put, you know the voices that play on repeat. One says, God has called me here, I need to be faithful. The other says, this is draining me, something has to change. And both feel true. Now that's what makes it hard. It's not just a career decision, it's something that will impact you for the rest of your life. Because if you leave, are you running away? And if you stay, are you just too afraid to move? And then there are voices all around you. Your parents might say, stay, it's stable. Your friends might say, leave, life is too short. And you're stuck in the middle trying to work out what God is actually doing here. Now here's the truth, people don't always tell you up front. The decision will be yours. Not your parents, not your friends, not even your trusted aide. It's yours and yours alone. But that doesn't mean you have to figure it out all alone. Discernment isn't about waiting for a sign from heaven. It's about learning to see clearly what's already in front of you. And the first thing to understand is this. Faithfulness does not mean you do nothing. Because staying in a hard place when God is forming you is one thing. Staying because you're afraid to move is another. So how do you tell the difference? Now here's a story I'd like to share. Before I quit my job at a high street bank in the UK, I went through this exact same tension. Now I had been there for over 2 years. I had grown, moved up the ladder, but then I hit a plateau and I wasn't growing anymore. At the same time, I knew I wanted to give myself a second chance to return back to the world of films and content, where I spent my entire career building. But I had to pivot when I moved to the UK. But I couldn't just walk away. I had responsibilities. I was married, we had bills, we had a life we'd built together. So I had to ask myself some questions. Am I growing here or just surviving? Is this season refining me or just eroding me? Am I being faithful or just frozen? Those questions just didn't give me an instant answer, but they helped me tell the truth about what was really going on. Now this isn't a formula. There is no if X then Y, because our lives have variables. For me, I had to sit down with my wife and map out what the next 6 months could actually look like. I mean, what steps we would take if I quit and things went well. Everyone wants things to go well, right? But what steps we would take if I quit and things didn't work out. We talked through all the scenarios, the best case, the worst case. And once we were aligned, I could move forward with peace. Whatever decision you're facing, bring the people who are involved into that conversation. Speak to them honestly, tell them what's going on. And when you speak to them, map out the variables. Be honest about the risk you're taking, because that's very important. But before all of this, I think what you really need clarity on is what's happening inside of you, because that's where discernment begins. Here's a lens that helped me, and I think it can help you too. Think of it as reference points, not kind of a checklist. The first reference point could be, are you learning even if it's hard? Now, if the answer is yes, if you're being stretched, challenged, refined, then ask yourself another question. Could I grow somewhere else? What if I move from this place? Would I be growing the same way? Or is this the place where I still need to be formed? Okay, because stability is a very important thing. Hard doesn't always mean wrong. Some of the most formative seasons of your life will always feel difficult. Why? Because growth is happening there. But there's a difference between hard and hollow. If you can look back over the last 6 months and see growth, even small growth, then God may still be doing something there. The second signal, are you numbing out just to get through? This is the one that caught me. If you're counting down the hours till you can clock out, if you're scrolling just to avoid thinking, if you're just doing the work because you're just trying to survive, that's not perseverance, that's erosion. And erosion doesn't build you, it wears you down. So ask yourself, am I enduring this season or am I just enduring my work? There's a difference there. And the third reference is, can you invite God into this space? Now this one matters. If you can still pray about your work, if you can still ask God to meet you where you are, form you, hold your hand, then there's still life in that place. But if you've stopped praying about it altogether, if you can't even bring yourself to invite God into that environment, if Monday morning feels like something you just have to survive, then that surely is a sign. Now, it's not necessarily that it's a sign to quit tomorrow, but a sign surely that something needs to change. So here's what I want you to do first. Invite God into this discernment process that you're going into. Not after you decided, but while you're deciding, or maybe even before you decide. Sit down, be still, and get into this prayer mode. I mean, you could say a simple prayer like this: God, I don't know what to do. I'm scared of making the wrong choice, but I'm inviting you into this. Guide me, help me to see clearly, and give me the courage to move when it's time and patience to stay if it's not. Now, when it comes to prayer, always keep it simple, because God looks at the posture of our hearts more than the words we use. And remember, God gave you a free will, so He's not going to force a decision on you. But when you invite Him in, when you open your life to His grace, that grace often comes as clarity over time. Here's something I want you to hear. You're not unfaithful for asking this question. In fact, asking it honestly might be the most faithful thing you can do. God isn't asking you to stay stuck out of obedience. He's asking you to move with honesty. And there's a big difference. So don't rush into making decisions. In fact, once you get all of these reference points or the answers to it, just write down the truth. What actually is happening here? Are you learning, or are you just surviving? Are you being refined, or are you being eroded? Can you still invite God in, or have you completely shut the door? Once you write it all down, bring it to God and say, Lord, here it is. Help me make this decision. And now give yourself permission to listen without panic. Don't let the voices get loud in your head. In fact, just get into silence, because it is in the silence of your heart that you will hear the whisper of peace, and you will know that God's grace has met you there. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, cheers and God bless.